Humiliated and cast out during a lavish wedding, single mother Callie thought her worst moment was unfolding, until a mysterious billionaire stepped in and changed everything. It was supposed to be just another Saturday for Callie Rowan and her daughter, Luna. But Luna begged her mother to see a real-life fairy tale, so Callie dressed them both in the best second-hand clothes they had and snuck quietly into the back pews of St. Evero's Cathedral. The wedding was grand, golden chandeliers and orchestra and petals strewn like snow. No one noticed the mother and daughter in the shadows, that is, until the ceremony ended. As guests mingled for photos and cake, Luna pointed at the flower arrangements, whispering in awe. But the bride's older sister, Martina Grath, noticed them. Her voice sliced through the crowd. "Who let the homeless in?" Callie froze. Guests turned. Some laughed, some sneered. Callie stood up, trying to leave quietly, but Luna clung to her. "We were just watching," Callie said gently. But Martina stormed over, yanked Luna's tiny coat and shouted, "This isn't a zoo." That's when a tall man in a slate blue suit emerged from the crowd. The silence was thunderous as he took off his jacket and draped it around Callie's shoulders. His name was Silas Venn. He wasn't just a guest, he was the bride's estranged cousin, and a tech magnate known more for hiding than attending parties. But now, standing beside Callie, he was a statue of defiance. "She's not homeless," he said, his voice deep and calm. "And you should be ashamed." Martina turned red. "She's trespassing," Silas met her glare. "Then have me escorted out too." Gasps filled the air. A photographer lowered his camera. Callie clutched the jacket tight. It smelled faintly of bergamot and rain. "You don't have to." "I want to," Silas interrupted. He bent down to Luna. "Did you enjoy the flowers?" Luna nodded shyly. "They looked like whipped cream." Silas smiled. "Then it was worth it." Callie's heart pounded. She didn't recognize this man, but something about him felt familiar. He leaned closer and whispered, "There's a fundraiser next Friday. Come as my guest." Before she could respond, he scribbled an address and walked away, just like that. Callie didn't plan to go. The whole thing still felt surreal. She had no dress for a gala, no heels, and certainly no place among tuxedos and crystal chandeliers. But Luna kept the note Silas gave them under her pillow. "Uncle Tall wants us to come." "Sweetie, he's not our uncle," Callie said gently. "He smells nice, like clouds." Callie laughed, but part of her wondered why had he helped them. Why had his eyes lingered so long on Luna? That Friday she borrowed a navy dress from her neighbor and stitched the frayed hem herself. Luna wore a pale yellow dress Callie had been saving for birthdays. With a single bus ticket and trembling nerves, they arrived at a grand hall overlooking the bay. People stared, but Silas greeted them at the door. "You made it," he said with a smile. Luna ran to hug his legs. Callie blinked back tears. The night unfolded like a dream. Silas introduced them as my honored guests. Luna danced with his assistant, and Callie, for the first time in years, let herself laugh. Callie tried to keep her distance after the gala. She was grateful, yes, but she wasn't looking for pity. So when Silas called 2 days later, she almost didn't pick up. "Ms. Rowan," he said smoothly, "I have a children's outreach event next weekend. We're short-staffed. Would you consider helping?" Callie hesitated. "I don't have any formal training." "You raised a daughter in less than ideal conditions," he replied. "That's more valuable than half the resumes on my desk," she agreed, tentatively. And when she arrived at the sunny outdoor garden, she found Luna already in the middle of a paint war with 3 other kids and Silas's assistant, smiling like it was normal. Silas approached with iced lemon water. "She fits in," Callie chuckled. "She fits everywhere. And what about you?" She paused. "I'm still figuring that out." He looked at her with something gentle, something she hadn't seen in a long time. By the time the event ended, Silas had offered her a part-time job managing his foundation's social projects. "No pressure," he said, "but I think the world needs more people like you." As weeks passed, Callie began working regularly with the Venn Foundation. The pay was fair, the work fulfilling, and Luna adored every visit to the office, especially when Uncle Tall was there. One afternoon, as Callie was organizing donations, Silas passed by and caught Luna mid-scribble with crayons. "She draws everyone as giants," he laughed. "That's how she sees the world. Big, bold, and magical," Callie said. Silas crouched beside Luna. "Is that me?" Luna nodded. "You're always smiling." Silas's hand hesitated as he brushed the paper. "Her eyes," he murmured, half to himself. "They're like someone I used to know." Callie heard it too, but didn't speak, because she knew exactly who Luna's father was, or rather, she thought she did. Until that moment, Silas suddenly looked distant, like a memory had punched him in the chest. "Where's her father now?" Callie looked away. "He didn't stay," Silas nodded slowly. "Some men are blind to blessings." Luna tugged at his arm. "Do you know my daddy?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I think I'm starting to." Silas couldn't sleep that night. He opened an old drawer in his study and pulled out a photo taken at a beach festival years ago. In it, a younger version of himself was laughing beside a freckled girl with wild curls. He hadn't seen her since that night. Callie. Back then, she'd been a part of a local community garden where he volunteered one summer before launching his company. Their chemistry had been electric. Laughter over tomatoes, kisses behind compost bins, one magical night under the stars. And then life pulled them apart. Could Luna be? He didn't want to assume. He couldn't. The next morning he ordered a discreet DNA test, using a crayon Luna left behind and a tissue Callie had used during a cough. He hated doing it without her knowledge, but something told him this wasn't coincidence. As he sealed the envelope and handed it off to a courier, his heart thundered with fear and hope. A month into the job, Callie and Luna moved into a modest apartment provided through Silas's employee housing initiative. No strings, he said, just stability. For Callie, it felt like the first breath after drowning. She redecorated the living room with fairy lights and thrift store cushions. Luna had her own corner filled with books and stars. Life for the first time had rhythm, safety, light, and Silas visited often, bringing chocolate milk for Luna and asking how Callie's day had gone. They laughed over dinner, shared stories, teased each other. It wasn't romance, not yet, but it was the kindling of something rare. At night, Callie would sometimes stare at the ceiling, wondering how this man had returned to her life like a wish she never dared make. But part of her held back, because secrets, no matter how buried, always had a way of rising. The envelope came on a Wednesday. Silas locked his door before opening it. His hands shook. The document inside was short. Probability of paternity, 99.9%. He sat down. Everything around him blurred. The past, the wedding, Luna's eyes, it all made sense now. He was her father. For minutes he just sat there, heart pounding like war drums. How could he have not known? How would Callie react? And why hadn't she told him? He wasn't angry, just overwhelmed, grateful, terrified, because now that he knew the truth he couldn't walk away, but if he revealed it the wrong way he risked losing both of them. Silas tried to act normal, but Callie noticed the shift. He lingered longer, looked at Luna differently, asked deeper questions. One evening she found him watching old home videos Luna had drawn on with stickers. "What are you looking for?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "Just wondering what it would have been like to grow up with her." Callie froze. "She's perfect, you know," he added softly. "Kind, clever, brave." "She is," Callie agreed cautiously. Silas looked at her. "Callie, if there was something important, something life-changing, would you want to know?" She nodded. "Of course," he opened his mouth, but fear held him back. "Then soon," he said quietly, "I'll tell you everything." Luna's 7th birthday arrived like a comet. Callie planned a backyard party with paper crowns and lemonade. But Silas had other ideas. He turned the rooftop of the foundation into a dreamland. Balloons, magicians, fairy wings, and even a bubble castle. Callie was speechless. "This is too much. She deserves the world," Silas said. Luna danced all afternoon, and when the cake came out she ran into Silas's arms. "You're the best Uncle Tall ever." He held her tight, his voice thick. "I love you, Luna." Callie saw the tears in his eyes, and she knew before he said it, and she knew he knew. They locked eyes. The air between them was a storm waiting to break. Later that night, when the guests had gone and Luna was asleep, Callie found Silas on the rooftop, staring out at the city lights. "You knew, didn't you?" she said softly, her voice trembling with both fear and certainty. He didn't turn to face her. "I wasn't sure until the results came." Callie's heart stopped. "You tested her." "I had to," he said. "I couldn't just feel it. I needed to know, because the moment I met her, I recognized something I couldn't explain." Callie stepped closer. "You should have asked me. I was afraid," Silas whispered. "Afraid you'd shut me out, that you'd think I only helped because of guilt." She was silent for a long time. Then she said, "I never expected to see you again. I thought you left because I didn't matter." Silas turned, finally. His face was soft with regret. "I didn't know you were pregnant. If I had, Callie, I swear nothing would have kept me away." The pain between them was raw, real, but beneath it pulsed something stronger. Forgiveness. "She's ours," Callie said, tears sliding down her cheeks, "and she deserves the truth." The next morning Silas arrived early. Instead of his usual suit he wore a hoodie and jeans. He brought pancakes shaped like stars and strawberries cut like hearts. Luna blinked at him sleepily. "Why are you here, silly?" "I wanted to spend time with my favorite girl," he said with a smile. Callie watched from the doorway. For the first time Silas wasn't just a friend or a benefactor. He was a father, learning in real time how to love loudly and live gently. They built a pillow fort, they painted rocks, they even danced to a silly ukulele song Luna loved. At one point Luna turned to Callie and asked, "Can we keep him?" Silas froze. Callie laughed through her tears. "We'll see." The three of them, cocooned in sunlight and laughter, felt like something ancient and new all at once, a family reborn through chance and choice. Just as their new rhythm began to settle, the media caught wind of the story. Tech billionaire playing daddy, the headlines screamed. Paparazzi staked out their apartment. Journalists harassed Callie at the foundation office. A gossip blogger claimed she was a gold digger who had trapped Silas with a fake daughter. Callie was livid. Silas was calm, but only on the surface. "I'll make it stop," he told her. "It's not your fault," she replied, but her voice cracked. "I've spent my whole life being shamed for not being enough. This just proves them right." Silas reached for her hand. "You are enough. You always have been, and they don't get to define our story." That night he released a statement to the press, bold, public, and protective. He confirmed Luna was his daughter, praised Callie's strength, and announced the creation of a trust in Luna's name. It didn't stop all the noise, but it silenced the worst of it. And in doing so, Silas proved something to both Callie and the world. He wasn't going anywhere. Despite Silas's support, Callie began to retreat. She declined dinner invitations, avoided his calls. At work, she kept her head down. It wasn't anger, it was fear. Every time she let someone in, they left. Could she really trust this was different? One afternoon, Silas found her in the community garden where they'd once met. She was pulling weeds with the same quiet determination he remembered from years ago. "You're pushing me away," he said, not unkindly. "I'm protecting Luna," she replied. "If this all falls apart, it won't." "But what if it does?" Silas knelt beside her. "Then we fight for it, together." Callie looked at him, eyes full of wariness and wonder. "I don't want her to lose anyone else," she whispered. "She won't," Silas promised, "and neither will you." Luna had started writing letters to her two favorite people, one for Mommy and one for Uncle Tall, now renamed Daddy Silas after she overheard the truth. The notes were silly and sweet, full of crooked hearts and doodles of cats and cakes. But one stood out. It read, "Dear Daddy Silas, I think you are my real dad. I love when you laugh and read me stories. Please don't go away. I will share my cookies with you if you stay. Love, Luna." Callie found the note in Silas's coat pocket when folding laundry one evening. She didn't cry, she just smiled and let the warmth carry her through the night. Despite their closeness, Callie asked for space. "I need time," she told Silas. "To think, to breathe." He didn't protest. He respected her enough to step back, but he never disappeared. Weeks passed. Luna asked every day when Daddy was coming back. Silas sent postcards, videos, books. And then, on the morning of Luna's 8th birthday, a package arrived. It was a box filled with memories, photos from the garden years ago, a journal with entries about Luna's milestones from the moment he met her, and a handwritten letter. It ended with, "You changed my life the moment I saw you again. I'll wait however long it takes. Love always, Silas." Callie took Luna back to the old beach festival where she and Silas had first met. It had been nearly a decade, but the air still smelled of salt and sugar. "I met your dad here," she said. "Did he give you a bear?" Luna asked. "No," Callie chuckled. "He gave me a tomato." They laughed. And just as they sat by the pier to watch the sunset, a familiar voice said, "Still the prettiest girl by the water." Silas stood there, holding a basket of cherry tomatoes and wearing the same crooked smile from years ago. Callie didn't hesitate. She ran into his arms, and Luna joined them, screaming, "Group hug." Later that night, after Luna was asleep in the rented cottage, Silas took Callie's hand. "I used to think love was for other people," he said. "Then you reminded me that real love grows in silence, in soil, in sacrifice." He pulled out a small box. Inside was a simple, elegant ring. "Will you marry me, Callie Rowan? Will you let me spend the rest of my life making sure you and Luna never feel unloved again?" Callie didn't speak. She just nodded and cried into his chest. Outside, the sea sang for them. Inside, hearts finally found their home. They didn't get married in a cathedral. No chandeliers, no lace aisle. Instead, they wed in the community garden, surrounded by the kids they'd helped, friends they'd made, and neighbors who once loaned them sugar. Luna was the flower girl, ring bearer, and officiant, with a little help. Callie wore sunflowers in her hair. Silas wore his slate blue jacket. When asked if he took Callie as his wife, Silas said, "I already do. Every day." And when asked what she loved most about Silas, Callie said, "He never walked away, not when it mattered." They were once strangers at the edge of a crowd. Now they were a family. Callie became co-director of the foundation. Silas scaled back on his public life, and Luna grew up surrounded by love, laughter, and bedtime stories from both her parents. Their story wasn't perfect, but it was honest, fierce, full of grace. It proved that no matter how shattered your beginning might be, love, real love, can build something beautiful from the broken. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more emotional journeys, stories of hope, and unforgettable characters. Love always finds a way. Don't miss the next chapter.